to get into Stanford, USC, UCLA, and Berkeley. Boom. Dishing it all. You're going to make sure that you have some choices, and all of you are here because your sons and daughters are aiming high. And it's good to get started early and get the information you need and all of that. So this is for what I call, these are all students who've been rock stars along the way, and these are all families that we've worked with. And, I think that people find us because we tend to attract public school, well, public Catholic and private school. But really, I think if you guys know my story, here's where I worked. I worked at Vassar College in the admission office. But my own personal story is that I went to public school. I was a public school. I was a student body president. I was a cheerleader, the whole quintessential high school experience. And my dream was to go to USC. And for where I went to school, that was a big deal. Like, I think I was the only one from my school that went to USC. Because most students from my high school were going to the local, the local state schools, no judgment at all, but like that's where they were going. And very few were going to the UCs. And then even fewer were going on to private schools. Now, I like to say that our valedictorian, he did get into Harvard and he went, Daniel Kim, I still remember. And the salutatorian was my best friend, Jessica. She was admitted to UCLA, so that was fantastic. But she had a calling and she went to APU. So again, all great things. So I kind of hung out with the smarty pants kids. I was probably the least smart of my group of friends. But I say that kind of tongue in cheek because once I got to USC, I realized how smart I was. So here we are. Anyway, I got to Vassar and they gave me a list of high schools to go visit, and they were all of the elite private independent schools across the states that I covered, including Florida, Texas, California, and then, Minnesota and some other states, Kansas and North and South Dakota. And I was like, oh my God, wow. I'd get to the guard gate, they'd have to let me in and I'd have to get a pass, and there were roses and trees and manicured lawns at all these schools. So anyway, bottom line is I learned that there was a lot I didn't know. And so many families across the country just don't know.
Alexa, stop.
Okay, you want to get that. So anyway, on the right here, you have a picture. Once I worked at Vassar, I was part of a group called that has a crazy acronym, but it's because I worked at one of the Ivy League or 7 sister schools. And so all of us who worked in admissions at those schools are part of a group. You can't buy membership into it. You just have to have work there. So these are like my friends. So all of the colleagues I had from the Ivy and sister schools, they all now run admission offices all across the country. So that's Jaime, who works at Georgetown, and that's Yvonne, who runs the office at Rice now. So that was our 50th anniversary of the organization, not 50 reunion. Oh my gosh, I almost dated myself. No. I'm not 50 years out of college. Okay, so there you go. So that's my story. And basically everything I learned at Vassar and from all of my colleagues, my seasoned professionals in the admissions world, that's what I brought to Marymount. Marymount is one of those elite private schools, private independent schools in Los Angeles. And so it was high stakes in making sure the girls there were admitted to highly competitive colleges, because by the time I got there, the number of applications was growing exponentially. Like every year it was like, doubling and doubling. It was just like crazy. So high stakes for this kind of school in Los Angeles. And it worked. So the girls almost immediately got admitted to, oh my gosh, my first class, Duke and Brown and Stanford. And of course, USC, UCLA, and Berkeley, all of the top California schools as well. So that was great. So I kept using those methods with other students, and I would sort of experiment. I wrote a book, I put it all there, but I experimented with these students. Don't tell their parents. That's what I was doing back in like many years ago, about 10 years ago. So it was working. They were all getting admitted. So I was like, okay, this is something everybody needs to know about. These students are not superhuman. We just use our formula, and we help ordinary applicants turn their applications into extraordinary and get to stand out. So that's our thing. That's my jam. This is what I'd love to do. When I was a kid, I was the only one in my family watching college football. I could like sit there all day. Literally, I still do. When I have a whole Saturday off, that's still what I do. So all I wanted to do was somebody pay me to like work at a college and live at a college, or talk about colleges, which is what I do now. So if you haven't binge listened to the podcast, there's lots of great information there. It started in 2018. The first episode is with where I interview my mom. So you can grab that. You can grab my book at becommittedgetadmitted.com. It'll take you right to the Amazon if you want to get the book too. Okay. This is one of our Rockstar students. She was one of the unicorns. She's now a junior at Princeton. She's from Chicago and found us when she was a sophomore. And so I started working with her one-on-one as well. So there you go. She's, again, not superhuman. She's not Mother Teresa. Here are some more of our students. Okay. All right, let's get into it, you guys. Okay, so you may want to, I'm old school. I like pen and paper. Or you might want to take notes. And then there'll be a couple times that you may want to screenshot something. And that's completely fine with me. I'll actually note somewhere where I think you should screenshot. Well, a lot of people do. Most people don't ask permission, but I'm giving you permission. So, and my apologies, it's gotten cold here. Don't laugh, Paul. I know you're in Connecticut. It's gotten cold here in California. So I don't know. I have like coming down with something and it tailed off from my interview this morning. So that was good. But my apologies about my voice in advance. Okay, here we go. Your job is to listen, to learn, but also to take action. I mean, I'm going to just say out loud that I can, meet with 100 people, especially students, 100 students, tell them all the same information as to exactly how to get admitted to top 20 colleges. And, only like, the rule, like 1% will actually do the work. Okay. So if that's you, if that's your son or daughter, let's go. So the book is broken out into 7 chapters, but like in 4 frameworks: the academic plan, the resume plan, and the application plan. The application plan is where we're focused on today. I'm really going to give you some like skills and some tips as to what happens in that section. Now, you guys have freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So that's really great because one of the best strategies is to understand what is the end goal so you can backwards engineer. Okay. Oh, in the chapter 7, celebration plan is my favorite. Okay. Within the application plan, there are 3 steps. So you may want to screenshot this because we went over curating the right list of colleges. That was 2 nights ago. So that will be, if it's not already on YouTube, it will be. All of the series will be on YouTube by Friday or Saturday. Okay, so you can rewatch those. So curating the right list of colleges, that's a whole separate topic. So be sure to catch that. And we stayed for a long time and answered questions. So we're going to talk about a couple pieces. So I broke this out into like 4 sections. So you'll see. Here are some of our, success stories. You can see here. They don't all have their sweatshirts on, but I've got Amelia over here on the left in her USC sweatshirt, and below her is Esteban. They're both at USC. We have a few people at USC. And then Mira in the center top, Mira, and then Cosette below. They're both at Berkeley. Again, we have a number of students at Berkeley. And then over here on the top right is Celeste, who's at Stanford, and that's Mateo at UCLA. Oh, you know what? Subliminally, maybe I cheated UCLA out because I'm a Trojan. But I'm a Bruin too. But we have like, oh gosh, Stephanie, we have like 3, 4. Hannah, Ashley, Mateo. Those are the ones coming to my mind right now. So many have been admitted. But if you get admitted to UCLA or Berkeley, you also probably got admitted to some other fantastic school too. So they don't always choose to go to UCLA and Berkeley. Okay, here are the academic qualities that we're looking for. Okay, here's where if you're not paying attention and you're like doing the dishes or like doing something else, come back to me here. Okay, all right. Academic qualities. Let's talk about this. So I want to make sure you know the 5 academic food groups. The 5 academic food groups, write this down, tattoo this to your brain, include English, math, science, social science, and modern language or foreign language. Those are the 5 academic food groups. So one of the things I will tell you is that in committee, when I was at Vassar, I would take notes and then I would present each applicant one by one within the school group. So everybody from your school group is going to be presented in the same time frame. And at the end of my presentation, the committee then asked me questions about the applicant. And the first question without fail every single time was this: what is he or she taking in senior year? I kid you not. So these are the 5 core subjects that we expect that any top, 25, top 50, top 25 college is going to expect to see on the transcript for all 4 years. Okay, so 5 academic food groups. That's really, really key. Okay, you want to opt in for the rigor. So in the book, there's a chapter that says, like, the question, should I take the regular course and get an A, or the AP course and get a B? And the answer is take the AP course and get an A, right? So that's honest truth. You want to always opt for the rigor. So the trajectory of the transcript and the grade should always be on the incline, not on the decline. You want to steer clear. You want to steer clear of C's for sure if you can. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it happen. Somebody get admitted to one of the top 25 with a C. I don't think it's happened that I know of. I'm sure it's happened. Don't get me wrong. But not with me. Okay. So always opt for the rigor. And here's these 2 slides are basically the same. Build relationships with the teachers and with your counselor. So in the book, I do kind of sort of tongue in cheek say, like, go with a basket of cookies or apples or whatever to your counselor, to your teacher. So you want to think strategically that as you go down the line, now, obviously not for the UCs, for UCLA and Berkeley, they don't take letters of recommendation. But there's 2 reasons behind getting in front of the counselor early. Okay. You want that counselor to know that your son or daughter has high expectations, so that you're just putting it out there. So there are things like you can say, you can request a meeting, even though they're not a junior. I would highly recommend that, and just kind of be the nag until you get a face to face. And even if it's like you say, like, I just 10 minutes, and you just convey, and obviously go with your son or daughter. But you want to ask for this high school profile. Stephanie, you can type that into the chat. That also, I think we covered that. We covered that a lot on Tuesday in the how to build a college list, or how many is too many list. How many should you apply for? So you want to ask for the copy of the high school profile. Get a hard copy, a PDF, like hard copy. And on that school profile should be a list of where students from your high school have been admitted to in the last 3 to 5 years. And if it's not included on the school profile, you ask for it separately. You say, can I get a hard copy, just to print out of the list? And they should have it. Okay. So build a relationship with the counselor so the counselor knows what you're dreaming of, early on. The teachers. So when I worked at Marymount High School, the all-girls school, which I like to just share so you understand, Kim Kardashian, Mariska Hargitay, and Giada DeSantis this is where they went to school. So I say that not to impress you, but just so that you understand the wealth and resource available for these girls. So the girls would roll up with their short skirts. It's Catholic school, right? Or their skirts were too short, and they would come late to class with a latte in hand. And I'd be like, girls, like, I'm all for the lattes, like whatever you need to do before school, but like, don't show up to class late with the latte unless you have one for the teacher. So, what is that conveying to the teacher? So all the things that are true as adults, right? You don't want to get to work late. You want to impress the boss, right? You want to be there, first one to be there, last one to leave. Not necessarily literally, but those kinds of things that are applicable to us in our own adult lives are applicable to them. So I just try to remind them, like, everything you do on a day-to-day basis is contributing to how, and teachers talk. Oh, by the way, I worked in schools for a long time. Stephanie has too. And I mean, that copy room, the lunchroom, like all the gossip. And teachers are human. So take note, like if you walked into my office when I worked at Marymount and then when I was a principal, you would see a shelf full of bears that have college sweat t-shirts on them, because kids would buy them for me when they went to visit, and college pennants, of course, and college sweatshirts, and then Wonder Woman. So a smart cookie would be like, oh, she likes Wonder Woman. I'm going to go find some stickers and like give them to her. So, little goes a long way. A little thank you note, written thank you note. Nobody does that anymore. My VIP clients, the students I work with privately, these are all these little tips that I give them. And trust me, they write handwritten notes. Love it. Teachers love it. Okay, let's talk about PQs, the personal qualities. The first part was AQs, academic qualities. This is now PQs. And so we're going to talk about impact versus involvement. If you've watched my TED Talk, I talk a bit about this and I give some examples. But since the TED Talk, new and improved, this is my new and improved thing. Everybody loves this is what you should screenshot. So do that while I take a sip of water. Okay, let's walk through this quickly, the first two sets, because everybody that we have worked with that has been admitted to a top 25 college has level 4 or level 5 or both. Okay, just pure and simple. And these on other webinars, I've talked about this. So again, you should definitely binge listen to the podcast. Okay, so 95 to 98% of all applicants have level 1, which is school involvement. And that's clubs, organizations, sports. That's, you know, the pretty typical thing. Then it goes down to like 12 to 15% have school leadership. So school leadership, I think of this as your elected or selected leaders. A teacher might have selected you, or you had to run for office. So student body presidents, editors in chiefs, team captains, things like that. The coolness factor is where for students that work with us, we're like, minimally, you're going to get to your coolness factor. So a coolness factor is about 10% of the applicant pool. And these are your students who know multiple languages. They run an Etsy store. They're content creators on social media. They like maybe invest in the stock market. They sell things on eBay. It's just anything you can possibly imagine. They're in club volleyball, right? So they're on their school volleyball team, but they're also in club volleyball. The Marymount girls, they would win state championships on the regular. And so almost all of those girls were in club volleyball. Okay, so a coolness factor, and I'll explain the difference between level 3 and level 4. It'll make much more sense in a second. A coolness factor is something that you are doing, the student, is doing to improve yourself. Okay, you are benefiting from it. And, you know, you have a job, you have run an Etsy store, you sell things, you sell your baked goods, whatever it is that you're doing, you're on the club team, whatever. That is your coolness factor. The coolness factor can also be something that you just is a hobby. So Esteban, I think you'll meet him today. Not literally. Esteban, he's at USC now. And his coolness factor, as I got to know him, he knows everything about baseball. His dream is to be the GM of the Yankees. So he knows every fact and figure of like, for sure of all the Yankees, but I think of like everything in baseball. So that was his coolness factor. Something he just does for himself out of the joy of it, for self-improvement of himself. The impact project is basically the coolness factor, but maybe, sometimes on steroids. Or a better way to say it is this. The impact project, what I took it from is we work with a lot of Girl Scout Gold Award and then Eagle Scout students. And so the Girl Scout Gold Award criteria, you may want to write this down, is 3 main criteria. And that is that you solve a problem for a community that you're passionate about, and you spend 80 hours or more. Boom. So just taking that into account, that's sort of the criteria I apply with the students I work with. And I say, okay, we're going to figure this out. You're going to do some kind of project that impacts and solves a problem for another community. Okay, so a quick example, 2 examples. I'm thinking of Sienna, who's at Berkeley. And Sienna had like level 1 and not level 2 at all. She was never going to be a leader. Like she was too shy and whatever. So she said, Dr. C, I'm never going to be, I may not even have, number 3, but she did. She had some cool things. She wanted to be a pediatrician. She loved to sew and crochet, and she had a sewing machine. So we found an organization for her where she sewed bead bags. They're called bead bags, where kids with cancer on their milestones, they get these beads and they put them in there. And she didn't start the organization. There was an organization who gives you instructions as to what to do, how to make these bead bags, and then you send them, and then they make sure they get to the hospitals. So she made a goal at after her sophomore year. She made a goal in the summer. We worked on her project, and she set a goal to make 100 bead bags. So she had to do about 8 per month to meet her goal by the time she was applying to college. So simple, doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but a simple project. Okay, we'll do the trick. So she's at Berkeley, and then Mateo started a nonprofit for student volunteers to serve the city of Oakland. And so he's at UCLA. Okay. All right. The top one, intellectual curiosity. I know you're like, oh, what is that? Well, as you can imagine, it's research with professors, research that you do on your own, an internship, a high, internship. But I'll give you the example of Alexis. I should have put these kiddos, here. So Jonna, who you met, who's at Princeton, she did a podcast. And I think she's done 15, 20 episodes or whatever before she even applied, I think. But then Alexis came behind her. And so I was like, I always use the strategies that work. And Alexis wanted to go to, HYPRS. So Alexis she wants to become an immigration lawyer. She's the daughter of an immigrant father. And so she did a 6-part education series on how to navigate the immigration process. And she had to do a ton of research to prepare to interview 6 different immigration lawyers. So she was a Girl Scout Gold Award. It became her Gold Award. So she not only hit level 4, but because of the nature of her podcast, it was also level 5. Now, Alexis was also a national dance champion with her school team that she had. So that counted as a coolness factor. She had all the things going for her. But boom, Jonna was admitted to Princeton. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a copy of that, like template. Let's see what we can do with Alexis. And Alexis, I think, was admitted to 17 of the 19 colleges she applied to. So there you go. It works. Telling you works. Okay. Along the lines of the PQs, okay, so you have the chart, okay, all of this. Then when it comes to actually selling it on paper, you want to always quantify. So this is just one of those like little tips I have is if any of you are literally at 2025 and doing the application now, this is what you need to know. Quantify, quantify, quantify. Sounds much better to say that a club that had 5 members that went from 5 to 10 in your leadership, you grew the club by 100% versus, to 10 people, right? Yeah. Oh, right? You got to use those numbers to your advantage. Okay, let's talk about essays. Oh my gosh. So essays is our jam. For those students who simply work with us in one portion, they don't, necessarily either have the budget or they don't find us early enough. They don't work with us, through their whole career. Most students come to us and find us through the essays, the essay camps, essay workshops, whatever. So this is our jam. And you need essays that outshine and outperform equally competitive applicants, right? So you're not going to stand out because you have a 4.5 GPA like everybody does. You're also not going to stand out even, with the impact, project, but it's all the things that come together that make a complete application. So any one of those things isn't going to like be the boom, the thing. It's how do you sell it and how do you market it and how do you package it? And I used to like be shy away from saying it that way. So candidly, but it's true. It's just true. So I'll tell you an example. So let me get through this and I'll share with you a little bit more of my thoughts here. Supplements definitely matter. I wrote down the supplement questions for Stanford and for USC so we can walk through them if you'd like to look at them. So you have to do your homework. You have to really be mindful of like all of this matters. And here's the biggest truth. The students who are willing to put in the time and the effort, because it's no joke, you guys, it is like a full-time job in the senior year. They're the ones that persistence pays off. Okay. Okay, let's talk school specific. We're going to come back to the essays and we're going to give you some links if you want to get started and to doing some things. So not to worry about the essays, but we'll circle back. So school specific, meaning let me give you some specific advice for these particular 4 schools, but in general, like these top schools. Okay. So you want to build a relationship with the admission officer. So if you were here last night, so all this week we've been dropping different golden nuggets. So you may want to sort of write this down. For each college, and actually even for the UCs, I don't know if I've done it. Maybe we can do it together. But if you Google USC, find my counselor, it's going to take you to the page on their admission website where you can type in the name of the high school that your kid goes to, and it'll tell you who the admission officer is for that school. Okay. So guess what? That's the person who's going to be reading that application. Boom. Okay. So in this day and age, there are a lot of schools that also calculate or keep track of how often you open emails from them when they go out. So this is what's called demonstrated interest. Okay. And I think we have a whole lesson on it in our Dream College Academy, which will open in the spring. So here's my favorite piece of advice. And this is why I was like texting, and I think I came on like a minute before 6 o'clock. Vince Garcia, one of the coaches that we work with, he says the first time a school hears from you should not be when you submit the application. Let me say that again. The first time a college hears from you should not be when you submit the application. So there's a number of things you can do. I'd highly recommend getting a separate email just for college stuff. But connect with that admission officer who's in charge of your high school. That's the person who is his job is supposed to really know the ins and outs of your school and how to review your application. Okay, you can network with alumni. That's never a bad idea. We just had I had a couple students who had their interviews for the early decision schools, early decision schools. So networking with alumni is also good. And do check the box. If you can interview. Okay. If you're a terrible interviewer, if your son or daughter is terrible, I would say practice. Last night I talked about, we were talking about top colleges for, B students. And one of the students, Diego, you'll see him on the replay if you watch that episode. He didn't have that great of a transcript, so he really needed to he needed to build some relationships quick. So in the summer, while we did essay camp, I was having him make these little appointments with other campuses, just little private, schools, private colleges. When the stakes are low, like just practice, right? So sometimes students who are like the rock star students, like your sons and daughters, they're like, oh, like I don't want to go to that school. I would never go to that school. I'm like, look, you're gonna need some safety schools anyway. So like, why not endear yourself and like go practice an interview with someone who's like, it's low stakes, like low stakes. So I remember sometimes when you have me, we practice your interview, we go over it, and like we spend 30 minutes doing an interview, and then we record my feedback, and then they do this whole thing that I do. It's the same process that I do when I have my own TV interview and record myself and re-record. But your first interview shouldn't be like to your dream job, right? So if your first interview is like with Stanford or with Harvard, you're like, oh my gosh. So I say take the interview process, like make it like fun, and try to make some inroads with other schools. Okay, so let's get real. All right. Okay, so these are the next set of slides here. I added these so that I can have a real conversation with you. Okay. So Dr. C's 4-sentence rule. I believe that every applicant really boils down to about 4 sentences. After I reviewed each applicant, when I was at Vassar, it'd be about a 12 to 15 minute review. And I take notes and all of that. I was reading 25 to 30 applications per day. And at the end of the day, I would maybe remember 5. Okay, so by the end of the week, you're like, oh, you remember 25. No, but by the end of the week, I remember 5. Okay. And I really could only remember about 4 sentences of those students, even at the end of, the 12, 15 minutes, I was like taking notes. Even while I'm taking notes, it basically boiled down to about 4 sentences. And those are probably the 4 sentences I used to write on my sheet. Okay. So you have to think, what are my 4 sentences? Now, if you're a sophomore, you may not know that right now. You're going to develop it. And it may not be obvious to you, but if I took a look in sophomore or junior year, I'd be like, oh my God, these are your 4 sentences. This is what we're going to hone in on. Okay, I'm going to give you examples of this. Don't worry. We like to tell you, and then we're going to show you, and then now you have to do. So Dr. C's speed dating exercise. This is the exercise I use with all of my private clients. So I'll show you what it is and what it means. But to tell you, I like to look up the mission, vision, values of an institution. And I also like to look up the president. Who is the president of this school right now? And who will supposed to be, will be like for the next 4 years. I like to look at that. Okay. All right, so here's some success stories, just so you see, like, these are real kids. They're not superhuman. They're not curing cancer. You've got Celeste at Stanford. You've got Hannah at UCLA, both public school students. These two, okay, so Cosette, if you listen to any of the podcasts, I talk about Cosette all the time. She did not get into a single college in her senior year. She was at a Catholic school in Maryland. And then she tried again on her own. Like, she tried to transfer a year later, and boom, nothing, zero acceptances. And then she found us, used our methods, did, like, there's nothing wrong with your kid when they apply. Students aren't rejected, applications are, right? So she got that in her head. Her mom heard me say that at some webinar, and she was like, oh my gosh, I need your help. Like, I can't be my daughter, right? Like, it's got to be something else. So she just tweaked the way she submitted. And then she not only was admitted to UC Santa Barbara, which was her dream college at the time, but she was also admitted to Berkeley. So, and Julio, same. Here's Esteban. I was telling you, he wants to be the GM of the Yankees, so that's his coolness factor. And then you see Julia, she's at University of Chicago now, but she was admitted, everywhere. Here's Alexis. I was talking to you about Alexis in the immigration podcast. That's Alexis there. And then here's Jolene. Jolene is at Boston College. Alexis is at Yale. So, but yeah, they were also admitted to other California schools, but they chose other places. And then here's Mateo at UCLA and Mira, who's at USC. Okay, and then so many more. I was like, Sophie's choice, trying to pick who I wanted to show you. Okay, let's see. Where would you like me to go first? I can show you the speed dating. I can also show you the 4 sentences. Would you like to see the 4 sentences or the speed dating first? I got to put my glasses on. Whoops, I just dropped my phone. Okay, what are you guys saying? Talk to me.
Either is fine.
Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, let's
How often do kids have interviews? That's a question.
oh, Harvard, I know, interviews every single person. Can you imagine that? Oh my gosh. They have such a robust, they have so many alumni that's willing to do whatever. So, I'm trying to remember Alexis. I think Alexis had interviews at Harvard, at Yale. I don't know. I can't remember if Princeton, but Stanford does it. It's not very often, to be honest with you, but you're here on this, session for getting admitted to top colleges. So some of the top colleges do it. You have to have a system, and it's so much work. So I often think it's just more for marketing than anything else. I don't know how much of a role it plays in actually. I suppose if your kid is like a big jerk, that would be harmful for sure, but I don't think it hurts you. Okay, so let's go on a field trip. And I should have pulled this up before, but so this is what I do. So let's do, okay, let me show you what it looks like, because I know, or no, vision. Okay, so I know this is not one of the schools we're talking about, but I know that it has it. So when you go here, University of Michigan, so right away, I didn't apply, I didn't apply to Ivy Leagues when I was young. I didn't even know what that was. But for me, I always go, learning, discovery, engagement. Like, these 3 words already capture for me my attention. It's different for everybody. So if you scroll down, here's the vision, and here are the core values. I'm going to tell you how to use the core values later. So here's leadership. Okay, we're going to go to the president's office in a second, but okay. So let's see what it does. So here are the core values: purposeful discovery, free and open inquiry, a community of belonging, exploration of boundaries, changing lives through engagement and respectful natural environment. Okay, so just tuck this into your head, like the values of an institution. I'll circle back to how we use that with our students. Okay, and then I go to the office of the president. So let's see. Okay, so here is a interim president. Oh, okay, so they're looking for somebody new. So right away, I'm like, okay, he's a white male and he learn more. What I'm looking for is what is his background? Okay. Professor of molecular psychology. No, physiology. Ooh, I gotta clean my glasses. Okay, so basically all STEM, a little bit of business school. So the reason I looked that up, most students won't know or won't think to do that. So I always just say this, whoever the president is at a university is whatever they, their background typically is going to be what their priorities are. It's just a kind of a clue, right? I would say, look, we just elected a new president for our country, and whoever we're going to choose, we now have chosen, that's going to change what the agenda is for the next 4 years. It's just different, right? So knowing, is it a female? Is it a male? Do they have a business background? So you better believe, like the President Chapman has been there for a while, and while he's been there, he's built a new STEM building. He raised money and built a new STEM building. It's one of my favorites, by the way, because it has a big window that overlooks the football field. So, okay, so those are clues. Those are real clues as to what is the priority of the institution for the next 4 years. So that's why that's what I call speed date. And then the last part, I would go into the major to look at the majors and then find the majors that your kid is interested in. So that's the speed date. I set the clock for like 5 or 6 minutes and quickly just look. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can. I don't know. Not that I've never. Stanford mission vision. Let's see what comes up. Oh, here are values. Oh, this is good, you guys. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to use this. So here they are. Sustaining life, accelerating solutions, catalyzing discovery, preparing citizens. Oh, it even tells you the initiatives they're doing. Okay. Again, this is boring to students, but I'll tell you how we do it. Oh my God. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm going to leave that tab open. And let's see. Okay, so if you do not have the insider's guide, I'm going to give you the link to get it because I'm showing it to you here, but I want you to be able to have it as well. So I'm going to put that into the chat. So I didn't tell you to have it ready, Stephanie, so I didn't know if you had it. So it's right here. Okay, that's how you get the guide. So oh my God, you guys, the guide, this freebie is like the best freebie. Like 15,000 people have downloaded this freebie. It's how to admission officers decide who to admit or reject. And I walk you through exactly how I did my process, the 4 steps and the 4 questions and all of that. So you can look at that on your own time. I'm going to show you that the bonus that I give in this freebie is this. Here are 5 real examples of students that I've worked with, and to summarize their example. Remember I told you the 4 sentences? Okay. So here's Emily. The girl who educated teens on drunk driving for the Gold Award comes from a 50-year line of military colonels and plans to become the first female colonel in her family and will join ROTC. She's graduating from Harvard. That is how we boiled her down. This girl came to us 3 weeks before her early decision or early action essay was due, application was due to Harvard. Boom. Here's Curtis. The DC kid who speaks Mandarin, is skilled in capoeira, interned with Dinosaur George and said this: there are 5 living African-American paleontologists in the world. I want to be number 6. Boom. He was admitted to almost everywhere he applied. Jana, the Chicago girl who shares one bathroom for 5, champion debater, started a podcast and wants to study political science on her path to becoming POTUS, as in the real POTUS. Okay. Charlie, the introverted, awkward Catholic school kid who loves Magic the Gathering, robotics, and coding. Founded Charged Bikes, building custom electric bikes for 3 years and wants to be the next Elon Musk. Charlie, boom, he's at Notre Dame. Alexis, you've met her. The girl from a red section of California with liberal blue values, national champion dancer, NFL football lover, and created a 6-part immigration podcast. Plans to become an immigration lawyer and high-ranking judge. Okay. All right. Now, here's the real truth. Will these students all become this, is Curtis going to, now I believe him, right? But no one's going to come chase you down in junior year and go like, hey, Curtis, are you doing what you said you're going to do? No, no one's going to chase down Charlie, right? Are you becoming the next Elon Musk? I don't know. Who knows? But we want to pair. You want to start thinking, and I wouldn't do this with your kid literally right now, especially if you have a freshman or sophomore, but just be mindful. What are the things they love? How can you package that? How does all of it make sense? Am I taking, if I want to be the next Elon Musk and, I'm building electric bikes, then I should be taking, high level math and science courses, maybe even taking a couple outside of school. My summer programs are, at MIT and the MITES program, all the things. And then you boil it down so that your application repeats and repeats like a broken record, like a commercial. Everywhere in the application is going to reveal those same 4 sentences again and again and again and again. Okay. So that's how we build an application from scratch. Okay. Now, here's the thing that I'll say as a bonus, because I just showed you the values for Cornell and Stanford, but you can find them also for USC. Those who work with me, and I'm a Trojan. So I always say, look, on the side of the Trojan statue are 5 core values, right? That you don't really find these on the website. I'm sure USC has their own mission and vision and values on the website, but on the side of Tommy Trojan, it says faithful, scholarly, skillful, courageous, ambitious. And it's true, that's like the ideal Trojan. So I'd say to students okay, where are you going to reveal some of those values or traits in your application? Where can you reinforce those things so that you're showing that, oh, see, I have USC nails today, that you're a good match, right? So now you know the values of Stanford. Okay, so think more broadly, where in my application am I revealing and showing that I'm a match for Stanford, that my values align with your values, right? It's a marriage. You're asking for a marriage proposal. Am I right? So it's a big one that you're asking for. And in this case, you're asking for multiple marriage proposals every year. So you gotta know what each suitor or whatever it's called wants. Okay. Type into the chat helpful or gold. If I just drop gold, you guys, come on. Okay. And now I'll answer any questions.
I think that's become sort of a key element when I'm working with students, and I have to default to, when they're asking you a very specific question, why this school, why do you want to come here? It's your opportunity to prove to them that you've done your research, that that I belong on your campus. And this is why. And they want to know that you've done your research. They want to know that you have committed unofficially before they've even, as Dr. Clone says, proposed marriage. So that if they do, they're expecting a yes from you. And I don't think very many students fully understand that. So this is a prime piece of advice to fully understand how you get the better of them, so to speak.
Yeah. It's all the things that, there's a saying I have that 90% of the application happens before senior year. Okay. All that prep, there's nothing you can do if you're class of 2025. I don't know if we have anybody here tonight, 2025. But once you actually get to the place where you're submitting the application, you can't change the grades. You can't go back and like wish you didn't show up late with the latte in hand to that teacher that you're now asking for a letter of recommendation. You can't do all those things. So what we do in terms of those who work with us for the whole scope, we're what goes into, like, what are you going to ask that teacher? What are you going to write in that email to follow up? What, like, we say we leave nothing to chance. We leave nothing to chance. So if we can have a say in what that teacher is going to write, I'm going to show you how to do that, right? So, and that's basically what I'm saying. Why I'm saying these things tonight, and I didn't say them so much last night, is like, this is what it takes to get to this level of institution. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about UCs. Yeah, anyone here for the UCs? Those, are you California? Oh yeah. Well, Jody is. No, Jody. Oh, you said CBS. I thought you were from California. Jody, are you from California?
Yeah, Jody's from California.
Oh, okay. So I'll say a couple things about California schools. Yes, in LA. Okay. Oh, good. Well, we should have coffee. We should hang out and go hike. So there are 5 UCs that have over 100,000 applications. UCLA has almost 150,000, and then Berkeley, I don't know, 130,000, something like that. Both schools receive more female applications than male, so good to know. It's about, for UCLA, it's about 11,000 more. Berkeley, it's less than that, but it's like 7,000 or 8,000. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Gary Clark is someone I interviewed on my podcast. You can find him. He's the VP at UCLA. You can listen to it. But there are 5 most popular majors, and this is true across the board, but especially if you can imagine. So computer science, engineering, psychology, biology, and communications. So, you'll hear the UCs like, they can't bring in a whole freshman class that just has those 5 majors. So think strategically about a major or a double major, or, you have a first choice and a second choice. Berkeley, you should know this, Berkeley each year will choose, I don't know what the number is now. It used to be 2,500. It might be as many as 5,000. They'll choose a group of students that they'll send you a request or an offer to turn in more information. And at that point, you can turn in a letter of recommendation. So if I can just share this story, because I can't believe it. When I worked at Marymount, there was a student my very first year. She was amazing. She wanted to go to Duke, and she didn't have very solid. She didn't have the test scores that would otherwise deem worthy of Duke. I think she had like just shy of 1,300, or maybe she had just shy of 1,400. Couldn't have been. Anyway, I think it must have been like a 1,390, and so she was super nervous that she wasn't going to get in. But she was a rock star of like what she did. She would be at that level 4. So anyway, I gathered the parents, and she got into Duke, so they were super grateful. Well, now 2 years later comes the sister. So we go to like the Bel Air Hotel, and we're like we're having drinks. Don't tell anybody. And just like thinking, they're like, what are we going to do for the next daughter? She's a solid, she would have been like on the webinar last night, solid B+ student, just amazing. So we throw out all these things, Oberlin, we're just going through everything, the kind of school that she would want to go to. And they say like Berkeley would be like her dream. So Berkeley, this is just what I know, tends to give those extra things, those extra requests to students who have mentioned learning disabilities, or that they either use extra time, or they're going to need services on the campus. Or I've also seen low income students. So if that is you, so for this student, I won't say her name, I was like, well, this is a strategy we could try to use for Berkeley. The application is one application, so it is going to go to all of them. So you can't be like, I want to go to Berkeley. But we knew kind of a couple keywords that we used in one of her essays, or maybe we used the additional information. I don't know. But I mean, this was, you guys, I mean, it wasn't 130,000 applications then, because this is now years ago. But still, it was thousands. And it's like, you're trying to get like 1 out of 2,500. And then of that 2,500, they choose 500 of those. So She got a letter. She submitted it and she got in. So to this day, that family loves me. And the story of the first daughter is in the book. What do I call, what's her name in the book? I think her name is Olivia, which is the name of her now daughter, little daughter. So Olivia's in the book. You can read that story. So there are things that you can do with the UCs, but I always say the major is one of them because there's just so many applications. The essays are huge. So Stephanie's going to drop the links to a couple of things. Let me show you what we do. Do schools like the California schools put an emphasis on students from other states? Oh, Connecticut. Yes. Okay. So, oh, this is a good question. Every student we've worked with from out of state gets in, which is unheard of. You have to kind of, I always say to students, you from out of state, I'm like, you have to walk on water to get a spot. Here, our Governor Newsom, he's like all about like, look, these are spots for California kids, because California families, I'm sure, get upset. But the reality is we need the income. So every college has a budget. So every public college, no matter what state it is, has a percentage that they need to bring in from out of state to have out of state tuition. Okay, so so I've never really, I can't tell you that I'm an expert in like how we figured that out, but I can just tell you that we're an expert in how to package an application. So all of our out of state students get admitted to at least one UC, which is, again, it's like amazing. So they don't always, I had a kid, she wants to be a veterinarian. She got into UC Davis, which was her dream. And then she couldn't afford to go, because I don't think they give very much money to out-of-staters. So, okay. Okay, what are you saying here? I missed something up here. I looked at the common data set. I think freshman applications were 40% Asian male. So the common data set's not going to break it down by application by a demographic like that. 40% Asian male. My son is doomed. Jody, stick with us. I'm telling you, I'll meet you. We'll go for a hike. I'll give you all the scoop. Okay. What do I want to show you? Sorry. So, Stephanie, so Stephanie's popping into the chat the links for the things that we're working on right now. And then also, Stephanie, we can pop into the chat. If you want to apply to work with us privately, we can take you right to the thank you page. So if you have, do you have all those links, Stephanie? Okay. All right. So while she's doing that, I'm going to share with you what we're cooking up right now. You can also make an appointment with me. I still do all the appointments. That's going to end probably soon because we're starting to get. Okay. So definitely download this that I gave you, the guide, this guide. And then I'll show you, where is it? Okay. So for $33, this little power play essay kit that we have is, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. I promise you. Even just to learn a little bit about the essay process, this little $33 thing is like, again. So what you get in here, and I don't think, I keep saying I don't think we have 2025, but I guess, what, people will watch it on the replay. So it's good for me to go through it. So this guide gives you everything that we give to our essay campers in the summer. We run essay camps that run from 3,000 on up to do your 4 to 6 essays in 5 days. It's amazing what they accomplish. So it gives you, you get to watch me reveal these 3 essays from start, what they turned in. So I'm going to should I just reveal? I don't know if I say, yeah, anyway, I'm going to tell you right now. So this one right here, the boring essay, is the girl who was admitted to Harvard. So I show you her first essay that she turned into me 3 weeks before, and then what we did after. So these 3 are again, worth its weight in gold, just to have links to this and watch the process. And then you get this whole step-by-step guide and how we do essays. And I show you all these things. So all of this, again, worth its weight in gold. My favorite part of this, oh gosh, there's so many favorite parts. This is a system that we've developed since, oh gosh, I don't want to date myself, but since we were at Marymount. I was at Marymount, so about early 2000s. we started doing essay camps. Even because at Marymount, there was not enough time for us to give the girls all the feedback they needed to be successful in fall. It's just too much. So anyway, you see all the templates you get everything, all the things. And then you guys, at the end, if you have a sophomore, freshman, start reading essays. Here they are. Who am I? What am I good at? Those are the core 4 questions we ask. What's something cool about me? The Taco Bell essay, famous Taco Bell essay. Oh my God, so good. And then the McDonald's essay. This is the future connection essay. Oh my God. And the Kobe Bryant. Can we just look at the Kobe Bryant essay for just a second? I was reading this with a private client earlier today. And he was like, oh my God, I want to write that. So here's a student who would have been in last night's, the solid B student. He wrote this essay. I kid you not. He wants to be a doctor, surgeon, and he had an internship, but he also loved Kobe Bryant. So let's just jump right here. I changed into a borrowed set of scrubs, getting ready to witness greatness, just like a basketball player would. Just as I watched Game 7 from my couch today, I had the honor of becoming Dr. Anda's greatest fan while sitting in the stands. Dr. Anda dribbled, grasping the scalpel, and shot the basketball into the net, all net, making an incision, starting at the open the stomach. Passing the scalpel, a technical foul was committed by first-year attendee. So Dr. Anda, the great mind that he has, he must rebound and revamp the incision. Back in the basket, 3 seconds left. Dr. Anda shoots a 3-pointer to win his game. All that's left is a celebration, delivering the good news to the patient. High fives all around. And he goes on. Dr. Anda and Kobe Bryant's work ethic, doing surgeries 12 hours long at a time, and always the first and last to leave the surgery room. On this day, Dr. Anda gave me a peek into what will one day become my temple. After witnessing, I wanted more. I want to watch more surgeries. I am growing into the consummate worker. I might be a rookie, but I can't wait to learn the craft and hone the skill of a scalpel. I will figure out a way to surpass the most skilled of surgeons and one day wear my purple and gold lab coat. Oh my God, you guys, gold, gold. So good. So many people try to, right, Stephanie? Every year is like people go, oh, I want to do the Kobe Bryant essay for my own thing. Oh, it's so good.
So, I will say this year, I've had more, we've had more than a couple of parents come to us last minute. We had a parent come to us yesterday. My kid has actually been working with a coach, and I don't know, she's having doubts. I'm having doubts. Can you just take a peek at her essays, her application? And, I don't ever like to come down on other coaches, and, just professionally, we don't ever like to step on anybody else's toes. But, ultimately at the end of the day, what works, and what doesn't. And her application wasn't working. We're 10 days away from the deadline, and her daughter's topics are wonderful. They're great, great topics. And if we had a longer, head start, they could be amazing. She could be a truly standout applicant. But now we're working with such a short period of time. There's only so much we can do, in 10 days. So I say this to, impress upon, especially you parents who are here that have, 10th graders and juniors. You have an opportunity to take advantage of getting the right advice from the start, as opposed to waiting until 10 days before the application deadline to get some advice. And that's all we can give at this point. We can give advice, we can give feedback 10 days out from the deadline. Yeah. There isn't a whole lot we can do beyond that. So, you're all here for a reason. You're all here because you want the best for your kids. And that wasn't the first time. That wasn't even the first time in the last week that I got that email. So, I just say this as sort of a warning, because it's every year I just feel like it gets closer and closer to the deadline. And these parents who have paid money to these other people that are offering advice.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'll say is this is the first time I think we've had, we always have 1 or 2 transfer students join us in our essay camps. but I hear the story, I've heard the story too many times now of students going through the process, like Cosette, you know, she goes through the process and she doesn't get it. That's sort of an anomaly, right? She was probably ill-advised. I don't know what happened. But we have at least two students, maybe three that maybe I'm missing one. Someone that basically they went through the process last year as a senior and they got into college, but they didn't get into any of the what we would call their dream colleges. And so we're finding that more often. So, you know, look, you have a chance to do it, to get it right the first time, which is why you're here. So, all right, happy to answer any of your straightforward questions. And Jody, should we take a field trip to the common data set? Maybe those of you who are, type in the chat if you're new, your first time, long time listener, first time caller. Let me know. Say me, I'm new. Because if you're new, I will show you what the common data set is. It's like gold too. Does everyone know?
Monica?
Maybe you know what it is. First time.
Monica, how old is your student?
Okay. We're going to look at the common data set because Jody brought it up. I'm going to blame you, Jody. And what did you say, Jody? Was it UCLA that you looked up?
She said Berkeley.
Berkeley, okay.
So we have juniors in the house tonight, which is good.
Oh, okay, that's great. Oh, then you should definitely book a call or apply. We're going to be launching Dream College Academy soon as well. Okay. I have too many tabs open. Okay, anyway, let's just go here. Common data set. What do I have here? Okay, I have Stanford. I'll pull that up and then we'll pull up. Probably have USC too saved. Okay, let's go to Stanford so you can see, and then we'll go to Berkeley or UCLA. Okay, good. Jody, who taught you the common data set? Hey now, I'm impressed. Let me get rid of this. Oops. Okay, here we go. So, oh, I should tell you how we get this. So you're gonna go Google Stanford common data set. Okay, you just do that. You click here, but I can see this one is already here as this PDF. But you could go here and then you click on the most recent one, which is this one. Should be. Yeah, 23, 24. Okay. All right. So that's how you, and this is Googled. Okay. Okay. So you go to section C. You go to section C, and now you can see here. Let's zoom in. I don't know about you, but I have old eyes, you guys. So it tells you how many men and how many women applied. Breaks it down for you right there. Oh, whoops. I'm trying to go over. And then it tells you how many are admitted. And then what the yield, what the yield rate is, how many actually enroll. Okay. This is a very, very high yield rate. That's almost like an 85% yield rate. 80, 82 maybe. Okay. So what is a yield rate? So you see they admitted 1,044 boys and then 850 of them said yes ish. Okay. So you just do the math. Okay. I can tell you right now, UCLA does not have, I don't even know. I don't think they certainly don't have a 50% yield rate. They have the UCs have a low yield rate, lower than you would imagine. Okay. So then that's there. Okay, so I like to look at section C, and it gives you a ton of information, you guys, as Jody she can give you the class, like, oh my gosh. So it gives you a ton of information about the admission requirements, and then somewhere it says, okay. Oh, right here. So who asked about interviewing? So right here you see interview. I'm pointing at the screen as if you can see me pointing. Oh my God. It says interview right here. And then it says considered, right? So it shows you what's important and what's not important or considered or whatever. So all of that. So lots of information in section C, okay? And then section D is the transfer section. So it has a similar. And then I like to go to section J. Jody, do you know what section J is? Oops, here we go. So I like to go to section J because it tells me the percent of students in their majors. So remember I told you the top 5? Oops. Okay. 17% computer science, boom. Engineering, 15%, boom. 15% interdisciplinary. Where's my biology? 16% public administration, social, social sciences. That might be where biology is. No, that would be psychology. That would be psychology. Okay, so you can see there. So I right away, I'll go, okay, well, Susie or Julio, like, what do you think? Should we pick another major or what do you want? Well, you know, we don't encourage picking another major if you want engineering because it's hard to get in on the back end. All right, let's go see if you want to, let's do UCLA. Common set. Okay, here's UCLA, you guys. So, Stephanie, I'm glad this is the last live because tomorrow I may not have a voice. But next week we'll do. Okay, here we go. First time freshman. Do you see what's happening here? 75,000 females, 64,000 males. Yep. Now, sometimes you see that the males and females have similar acceptance rates. Not true, my friend, not here anyway. So when I work with my private clients, we literally go through every single common data set of every single college they're considering, and we do the math. We're like, okay, where are we going to have leverage? It doesn't mean that we pull it off the list if we don't have leverage. It just means we want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So you just have to have the information in front of you. Okay. So, oh, I should show you this. Anybody interested in Brown? Because, okay, so here, I don't know the math, but I'm going to show you a school that it's the opposite. Sorry, you guys. Oh my gosh, I lost track of the time. Is this helpful? Maybe I'm just having fun with myself. Is this helping anybody? Please type something so that I know that I'm not boring you guys. Okay. Here's Brown. Okay. Anyone see this? Can you see the screen? 31,000 female, 19,000 male. Look at the number of admits. Same number. Okay. Okay. You got to know where you're going to have leverage and how to leverage it. So that's what I'm showing you. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's who we are. It sounds like some of you were very new to us. So thank you if you've been a long time listener, first time caller. Right now we're obviously running like the wind with our class of 2025. Those who have been with us, some of them have been with us since freshman year. Some just joined us for essay camp. Some just joined us in the last. We've welcomed, oh gosh, almost 200 new people to our family in just the last few days, few weeks. So they keep coming. So that's what we have right now. Those of you who are interested, please do fill out the form if you're wanting to work with us or schedule a consultation. Oh, should we have that? Do we have that link? You can.
I put the consult link. Monica has a question.
Okay. And also get the guide because the guide, it links you to my TED Talk and some other things. So, you just want to binge listen. So, okay, question. My son wants to attend USC, film and engineering, has 2 A's and B's and a C. Are the schools looking for grades from freshman to senior year? Yes. And community colleges in the future. There's our possibility. Okay, so wow, Monica. Monica, where are you from? From California? You can unmute. It's a small group. I'm just curious more than anything. So film and engineering. Woodland Hills. Okay. So earlier, if I don't know when you came on, but I said, in all seriousness, I haven't seen anybody get admitted with a C in the top like 20 schools, like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford. I have seen it happen occasionally with USC and many others. So it's not dead in the water, number one. Number two, for film specifically, film is going to be where he's admitted based on his talent almost exclusively, not really. It's a portfolio. So portfolios or auditions, it's different from school to school, but by and large, the auditions or portfolios have much more significant weight. So I don't see it as an odd combination, film and engineering, but it may seem like an odd combination because Viterbi is super competitive to get into. Viterbi School of Engineering, if you know. They have a YouTube channel. They offer advice. Rebecca Kennan Bader is she's an alum of Marymount. You can tell her that I referred you, and if you have any questions, okay. So, but to go back, and this was for all of you. If you have a talent, if your kid has a talent and can submit a portfolio, we have a student who's submitting to architecture this year. Who else we have? We don't always have, but film would be a thing. So I always ask this question, do you want to go to the best college possible? Or do you want to go to do you want to definitely major in, like you want to go to the best college possible that you can get into? The major is the most important thing. I don't know that I have a, opinion. I think I don't judge either way, but for some people, they definitely want to major in engineering. I'm like, great. You want to definitely major in engineering and you have a C on your transcript, especially if the C is in math or science. Well, definitely apply to Chapman or, find another school to make sure you have choices. Because that's the goal. The goal is that you have choices, that your kid has choices. You do not want to be the parent where your kid gets admitted to 2 out of the 10 colleges they applied to, right? Now, that being said, it's like, these are first world problems. I mean, in reality, being admitted to any college is a gift and an honor. Let's not lose sight of that. But you will never unfeel what they look like when they're rejected 8 times. So that's the goal. And that's the philosophy we have. We have a goal of batting average at minimum of 500, but many of our students are 70, 85% getting admitted. Like I told you, Alexis got admitted to 17 out of 19 colleges. And I think the other 2 were waitlist. Like that's crazy. So yeah. Okay. Monica, was that helpful at all? You may want to I would strongly encourage you to make an appointment. I would say, what year's your son? Did I miss that? Goes to Taft. Yeah, I'm familiar. I got you. What year?
He's got to be a junior. And we also had another kid submit to Stanford School of Music with a portfolio.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, so yeah, if he's sophomore or junior, definitely let's talk. I would say, I would recommend probably at least what we call a full family consultation. So we do a full family consultation. It's a 2-hour meeting with us, and we give you like a SWOT analysis. Do you guys know what that is? SWOT analysis for businesses, but it's like a SWOT analysis for teens. What's working? What are the strengths? we don't call them weaknesses, but like the gaps, the opportunities, and anything that they can do to overcome any of that between now and then. So we take a look. We meet with the entire family for about 40 minutes, and then we meet one-on-one with the kid for another 45 minutes, and then we come back together. And then you get an 8 to 10 page report that Stephanie makes so beautiful. So it's a team. Like we're a team. We're right now still a small-ish company. We work with rock star, I say Olympic level coaches. Vanna is one of our coaches. She worked at Harvard Westlake. If you're not familiar, it's one of the top private independent schools in the country. Certainly probably the best west of the Mississippi. So she worked there for 4 decades. Yes. I didn't mean to. Sorry, Vanna, if you're watching. She's a big fan of all of us, and she is a coach every single summer. So people like to request to have Vanna. She knows, she's seen everything. She has seen everything. Literally, she's seen every essay possible for all the top schools. Okay. He's a sophomore. Oh, fantastic, Monica. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. So Monica, I'm going to say this, and this is for the group, and then I'm going to let you all go, and I'm going to walk my little 4-legged son. Keep this in mind. Okay. So I didn't go into detail of this, and I might have gone into detail on maybe on Tuesday. So again, we'll link you to all the links to the replays over the next couple of days. Your son, or all of you, they're going to graduate from high school with 8 semesters of grades. Yeah, with me? They're going to apply to college with 6 semesters of GPA. Okay. So if you've completed a freshman year and you're now in sophomore year, you've completed 1/3 of the GPA. So you've got 2/3 to like hustle your bustle. Okay. By the end of this semester for sophomores, you will have completed half of the GPA. And as you know, statistically, it's hard. It gets harder and harder to raise that GPA. So Monica, tell your son, I said, no more C's, no more B's. I wouldn't always say no more B's at this point. You know, I mean, we always say like, you got to get the best grades you possible, but because he now already has those, we want to hopefully just put those in the past. Okay. He's used up his card. He has no more cards to use. He used them all up. Okay.
Upward trajectory, always.
Yes. Okay. Get the book, get started. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, you guys, just so you understand, this team, our team, we attract, you know, Coach Vanna, she was a cheerleader when she went to Venice High School, and she still, you can take the cheerleader out of the, you know, the school, but you can't take, you know, I don't know you know what I'm saying. And Dina went to Barnard College, and you know, she's from New York. So she's like, so we're sassy, with a lot of rah-rah. Like, we're going to cheer you on, and we're going to be your biggest cheerleader, but we're also going to deliver the goods. Like, you know, I always say, like, you didn't find me for me to tell you, oh yeah, that's working. Have a seat, no problem. Like, no, if you come here, you want to know the truth of how to get in. And that's what we're going to tell you. Okay. So if you're cool with that, welcome to the family. All right, guys, lovely to meet you all. Next week we'll be doing many lives for the UC system, because, you know, it's a whole thing. So we'll pass on the link to all of you, and maybe you can pass it on to someone who needs it. Okay. All right. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.